Do you ever play CSGO and really struggle to consistently win matches? Well, today I have 5 simple tips that you can use to never lose again. Okay, maybe not ever lose, but your chances to win will be dramatically higher. By the way, guys, if you enjoyed the video and it's helpful, make sure to smash that like button. But don't smash your keyboard because tilt can cause you to play worse. But what is tilt? Essentially, it's getting upset over the game, which causes a thought loop of negative thoughts. This can manifest in a variety of different ways, from simply overthinking small details instead of focusing on the big picture, to just putting yourself down and absolutely destroying your confidence in your playstyle. And worst of all, complaining to your teammates can cause them to tilt as well, resulting in a catastrophic loss of momentum. To control tilt, it's all about mindset and having the right kind of priorities mid-game. If you're just hyper-focused on your performance and you start to overthink things, that can cause you to make more mistakes and overall lose more rounds. Take this match for instance. I keep making mistake after mistake after mistake, and I'm just having an overall horrible time. And honestly, I just wanted to surrender because I didn't think there was any chance that we could have made a comeback. So I was getting pretty tilted. At least my day was still better than this guy. When you start to overthink, that's when you start to make big mistakes, and that's when you start to lose more rounds. And when in reality, the best thing to do is forget about the previous round and just focus on the current round. Obviously, a little bit of constructive self-criticism is healthy, but you don't necessarily need to fix it right away. Just keep your head in the game and rewatch the demo afterwards to see it from an outsider's perspective. Take some notes and learn from your mistakes and move forward. But when you're in game, focus on the journey and not the destination. Simple as that. But if you continue to whiff easy shots and you just can't seem to hit anything with any level of consistency, basically if you're a stormtrooper, a little bit of aim training and warm up before you start your matches can go a long way. And there's so many ways to achieve this, and it's obviously different for everyone. So I'll tell you guys what I do when I'm not a lazy piece of... Sorry about that, I was just getting a little tilted. But the #1 workshop map that people usually use for a little bit of aim training and warm up is the map Aimbots. Like, it's simple, it's not too complicated, and it gives you options to train your aim and warm up in a variety of different ways. From one-tapping bots that are standing still to practicing spray control against strafing enemies. Obviously, it's a little basic, but for a lot of people, like 15 to 20 minutes a day makes a world of difference. I mean, there's countless other workshop maps as well that can add some variety to the training, and it can also be a good idea to try some of them out. And of course as well, if you want to train against real players, then deathmatch can be a great idea. However though, if you just want to play regular Valve matchmaking, you can just use their servers. But if you play ESEA or Faceit to get that 128 tick experience, you definitely want to use 128 tick community deathmatch servers. The difference between 64 and 128 tick is huge, and when you're trying to learn and build some muscle memory, if you keep switching between one and the other, it'll actually make it a lot harder for you to start building muscle memory. So just stick to whatever's relevant for you. And don't focus on grinding like 12 hours a day. Just do a little bit here and there and just be consistent. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. But you know what else is relevant to the video? Tip #3, which is don't worry about the current score or your stats. The only thing that matters should be the current round. Even if you're down 15-0, it's possible to make a comeback if you just focus on teamwork, playing safe, and setting your team up to pull off the comeback. The only time you really lose is when you give up. And it's like Counter-Strike is all about resilience. Even if you lose a match, watching the demo and taking some notes can make a huge difference over time. Like, if every time you watch a demo you learn a couple new things, over time it'll add up fast. Trust me. And to be honest, you actually learn a lot more from a loss than a win. Even if you try your hardest to make the comeback and it doesn't work out, at least you gain a lot of very valuable info. Like, trust me, you aren't going to improve massively in a short amount of time. It always requires dedication over years to start to reach your potential. And if you don't have a lot of frags in the first half, don't sweat it and just focus on the second half. Because I've had so many games where I started off doing horribly, and in the second half, I just kind of ran away with it, and basically we absolutely dominated. You know, the T and the CT side are completely different ball games. Tip #4 is to motivate your teammates to fight for the wins. If your teammates are showing signs of weakness and they just want to surrender and give up on the game, it can be a really good idea to try to give them a motivational speech and just explain that if we all work together as a team, we can pull off the comeback. Are we just going to take the L, or are we going to fight for that win? As I mentioned earlier, tilt can make your entire team play worse, but so does poor morale. Sometimes all your team needs to get the win is a little motivational morale boost. Figure out what you're doing wrong and coordinate some small changes in your game plan. Okay, basically just be a really good IGL. I mean, it's hard to do at first, but the more practice you get doing it, the more comfortable it becomes. Being a good IGL can lead to way more wins, and also it can lead to some fat stonks. And tip #5, play smart. So on the surface, this one seems pretty obvious, but using your brain can give you such a massive advantage. The best thing to start with is to study what the enemies do, which players play on which site, do they commonly push different angles, is there something that they continue to do every single round, and let your team know, and you can collectively figure out the best way to deal with it. I mean, Counter-Strike is a team game after all. But let's go to an example on Dust 2. So if they consistently peek middle every single round, then you can smoke it off to stop some info. And just because of one smoke that was thrown, they don't have any info on how many people crossed. And this is assuming you're on the CT side. As for the T side, you have to decide if you're confident enough in your ability to aim to win a battle over by mid. And if not, then you can always just throw a cat smoke. Another thing you need to consider is the map control that your team has. T and CT are completely different, so I'll give an example for each. So on the T side, of course, sticking to Dust 2, for a default, you want to send one person mid, possibly even up cat with a smoke. Two people go into tunnels, one person kind of watches the aggressive push over by upper tons, and then person 3 pushes down into lower tons, checking different angles and getting ready to do kind of a mid to B split, or or go up catwalk. And then the last two players, they go for long control and they try to get a pick, they try to gain control of long. And the whole point of doing this is to try to get an early pick, and then if you can get a pick or two, take down the bomb site, then you can easily get the bomb down much easier. Essentially, if they get way too aggressive, this is a good way to punish them. But switching over to the CT side, so a good default play is one person long, one person up cat, two people mid, ready to either take an engagement or rotate to whichever site needs help, and the last person holding B for any aggression. In most rounds, if they start to throw smokes to either site, you want to partially start rotating, but you don't want to fully rotate until you see the bomb, until you know 100% that that's the site that they're pushing. Because fakes happen all the time. If you rotate too quickly, it gives the other team a big advantage. So, it's a balancing act. I mean, in terms of playing smart, you can also play mind games, and there's so many things you can do. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we switched over to the T side, and now we're starting to actually pull some rounds together. And I'm just kind of messing around, but it's kind of crazy because I got 7 frags in the first half, and in the second half, I got triple that, just because the team started playing together. And also, we had a breath of fresh air because we switched over to the other side. Like, on the CT side, I was a little rusty, and then I started to warm up as the game progressed, and ultimately, I just started to feel way more confident, and I was able to hit way more shots. I even pulled out some plays that weren't really that smart, but they were a little flashy. And having a really bad first half led to this. I was playing aggressively in a 3v3 situation with an op. Not the most ideal weapon for this scenario, but sometimes it works out. And I like to consider myself to be more of an opper. So in these kind of tighter situations where I have to hit the flicks up close, I can hit them sometimes, but obviously I'm not super consistent. I'm not Monacy. I'm just some random guy on the YouTubes. But the whole point of this video is to let you guys know that even if you're having a bad first half, don't lose hope, because the comeback is always possible. I mean, in the first half, 7 kills, like 21 deaths. In the second half, like 31 kills or something. So just remember that the game is not over until it's over. And as long as you do everything within your power to make that comeback, it is possible. And if you guys do want to learn more about the game, I have a playlist with all my tips and tricks videos. If you watch all of them, I guarantee you will learn a lot about the game. Yep, it'll be in the end card. Speaking of which, here it is. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to smash that like button. Don't smash your keyboard though. And of course, sub with the bell if you haven't already. And if you made it to this point, you are an absolute legend. And I'll let you in on a little secret. So on Halloween, we're doing a Halloween event, and we're going to be picking active people in the Discord server to join in on the epic Halloween Extravaganza Turbo Edition 2022. It'll be streamed over on my Twitch, link below, and there will be some dank prizes. Anyways, have yourself a great rest of your day. It's Turbo, and I'm out. Peace.